Hey everybody, it's Sam. I'm back from the dead. This isn't really a comeback, but I'm making this video for those who want to read the crossover story I've meant to make in the past. This crossover was supposed to be like a wrap-up for my channel, but it never kind of came to be, and understandably nobody wants to rewatch a bunch of content. So I'll be doing like a quick recap of all my movies with all the information that is needed prior to reading. I also do not own a proper microphone, so bear with me, I'll try to speak as clearly as possible. Starting off with Terror Night, the two main characters you need to know here are Lindsay and Zach, who survived the first movie, as everyone else around them kind of gets picked off one by one. The killer is revealed to be Zoe, with Ryan as her accomplice. Zoe wanted revenge on Lindsay and all her friends who bullied her and also indirectly caused the death of her brother, but she ended up losing the fight to Zach and Lindsay. 2 years pass and they make a new friend group, leading to the events of Terror Night 2. One night, Lindsay's brother is killed and Zach is caught in a car accident, leaving him hospitalized. Lindsay surrounds herself with friends to cheer her up, which leads to a second killing spree. It turns out that Zoe was alive this whole time and wanted to finish the job, but Zach, Lindsay, and their new friend Emma defeat her. The following years left the three of them more isolated from society, but they continue to stick together. A third killing spree occurs in which they learn that Zoe's twin brother, Ethan, was alive this whole time and was the mastermind behind all the killings due to his personal grudges against Lindsay and Zach. But yet again, they, along with Emma, defeat him. These next three series are already connected to each other, so starting off with Roblox pregnancy story, I will try my best to get through this without laughing because this series was so freaking stupid. But hey, it's still part of the lore, so I have to get into it. The story begins with a girl named Natalie, her boyfriend Joey, and her best friend Izzy. Let's just say one thing led to another and she is pregnant, which causes her to get kicked out by her mother. The first two parts deal with her troubles of having a baby while finishing high school, and dealing with relationship drama with Joey. She gets accepted to an out-of-state college, but this causes her and Joey to break up as he didn't want to come with her, and she moves away by herself with Sydney. 3.5 years later, she's in college with Sydney along with her roommate Brenda and her friend Danny. Her mom comes to her college to make amends with her, and they go back home together. Being back in her hometown, she reunites with Izzy, but quickly realizes that Izzy is now dating Joey. This causes a lot of drama between Izzy and Natalie, in which Natalie invites Danny over in an effort to split them apart. Joey comes clean and tells Natalie he broke things off with Izzy and wants to get back together with her, but she kicks him out. Right after that, Danny confesses his love for her, but she's too confused on what to do, so she just leaves. Part 4 begins with her making amends with Izzy, but Natalie also kept a promise to Joey to allow him to see his daughter. So they try to hang out as a family, but it goes horribly wrong as Joey is so very immature, and they get into a massive fight yet again. They break things off, and Natalie realizes she actually does have feelings for Danny, so she and Izzy go to the airport looking for him, where they reconnect and officially get together. Part 5 is the wedding episode that takes place 2 years later. Nothing major happens here plot-wise. Natalie, Danny, Brenda, Sydney all go back to their hometown where they meet with Izzy and Natalie's mom as they go through a lot of shenanigans while planning the wedding. This is also the part where Izzy and Brenda become friends, which leads to their own spin-off, The Adventures of Izzy and Brenda, taking place in New York City. All you need to know about this story is that Izzy starts dating a new guy named Brody who is going to be in the crossover. Moving on to Roblox Teenage Friends, you have our 4 core characters, Brandon, Luke, Ellie, and Alyssa. Part 1 starts like any teen film with their struggles in high school and showcases some petty rivalry with other characters like Katie, Caleb, and Lewis. They all participate in a competition to win a trip to the beach. Our protagonists end up winning the competition, but due to a fight that Katie and Alyssa have, and they're both forbidden from going on the trip. Their other friend Nicole steps in and pretends that she will go with them so Alyssa can sneak inside instead. They get to the resort island and they start having some fun. Luke and Brandon run into Joey from RPS, who is now working at the juice stand. Katie and Caleb find out that Alyssa went on the trip instead of Nicole, which makes them devise a plan to essentially remove Alyssa from this trip. Later that night, they break into her room and kidnap Alyssa to take her back to town in a very poorly thought out plan. They end up getting caught as everyone corners them. Katie and Caleb are able to escape, but Lewis is then captured and arrested. This leads to part 3, where they take Lewis to court in an attempt to find out who the other 2 kidnappers are. The principal crashes the courtroom and exposes Alyssa as she wasn't allowed to be on the trip to begin with. Lewis is sent to prison, and Alyssa is sent to the principal's office to discuss her punishment. While all of this is going down, Ellie and Luke are determined to expose Katie and Caleb as they believe that they're the culprit behind the kidnappings. Katie meddles in their lives some more and convinces Alyssa that Brandon is cheating on her. Luke also crashes out on Brandon and they essentially dump him, but Ellie is smarter than this and continues to investigate. But by then, Brandon feels betrayed and leaves town to the resort island with Joey to escape his past life. After Ellie snaps some sense into Luke and Alyssa, they confront Katie and Caleb and force them to help him find Brandon now that he's missing. A massive argument ensues between all of them and Caleb ends up getting hit by the plot armor car and dies because I just don't want to write out characters in a normal way, I guess. Katie apologizes to them and joins them on the search. They bail out Lewis and Luke brings up how he thinks Brandon might have gone to the resort island due to their conversation with Joey, so they pack their stuff and head straight there. As they get there, they split up to search for Brandon. Katie and Ellie are still not used to each other, so they continue to bicker until Chris pops up to help them out, in which Ellie is immediately smitten by him. Luke and Alyssa continue searching in the hotel where they find Brandon partying at the rooftop. They apologize and everyone has a happy reunion. But suddenly, a storm starts to build up and now they all have to hide out for the night. Part 5 begins the next morning where Joey gives them the bad news that they're stranded and the hurricane did a lot of damage. Everybody splits up and tries to find some signal on the island. Ellie eventually does, and she calls Nicole to fly over there to pick them up. As they wait, the weather gets worse and another storm hits their island. The island is quickly sinking as they make their way to the top of a tower to reach Nicole's helicopter. One by one, everybody makes it to the helicopter. Luke and Joey are the last to reach the top and they realize that they're almost out of time. Joey sacrifices himself to help buy them time to escape, but he gives Luke one last request, to find Natalie and to tell him that he is sorry for everything. They fly back home as Joey dies in a storm. Luke does meet with Natalie and tells her the news about Joey, while everybody else celebrates their escape. Ellie and Chris officially get together, while the series closes with Brandon and Alyssa confessing their love. A few years later, Ellie and Chris sign up to become camp counselors, which lead us to our next series, the Redwood Caves. We meet 10 campers, but the only important ones that you need to know are Maya, Amy, Liam, Cody, and Serena. Part 1 was all about the campers meeting each other, hanging out, attempting to have a good time. But part 2 is when all of them enter the caves for the first time. But things go horribly wrong when a monster appears out of nowhere and attacks everyone. They all get separated and are trapped inside the caves. Ellie and Chris manage to escape first, but they are unable to find the rest of the kids, so they call for help to retrieve them. In one group, you have best friends Amy and Maya who do not like Isaac because he's kind of an asshole. They bicker a lot as they try to find their way out. At one point, Isaac saves Amy's life, and they kind of fall in love because of that. And the three of them finally start getting along. Our second group, we have Cody, Serena, and Jessica. Both of the girls like Cody, and they've been fighting for his attention up until Jessica dies, leaving Cody and Serena to fend for themselves. The two of them do find their way out first, though. Our last group is Shane and Liam, who are always sticking together. But things turn tragic quickly when Shane dies and Liam becomes even more lost inside of the caves. Part 3 begins with Maya, Amy, and Isaac making it outside, but they still haven't reached the surface yet. Tragedy strikes yet again when Isaac helps the girls up, but he falls to his death in the process. Amy is left grief-stricken for pretty much the rest of the series as Maya tries to help her out. Luke comes back in the picture along with other special agents such as Jordan. They find Liam, which rounds our camp survivors to 5 kids. Maya and Cody are eager to fight against the monster with the adults, but they are pushed aside. The monster breaks out of the caves and attacks the kids and kills General Rastel. As part 4 progresses, Jordan lets Maya fight with him, Cody and Serena get together, Chris and Luke set up base but Ellie is attacked in the process, Amy's having hallucinations of Isaac, and all of this accumulates to them meeting at the beach where Maya tries to strike down the monster but she ends up missing and falls into the ocean. Jordan swims down to save her, and Henry is the one who finally kills the monster, delivering the final blow, allowing everyone else to go back home. The last series I will talk about is Forgotten. It's about 2 orphaned kids, Peter and Paige, who are living on their own after the death of their parents. They meet Neil, who is helping set themselves up to get potentially adopted. During this period, Peter had to make ends meet and was working for some really bad people. As he tried to quit, they took him away. Neil noticed that Peter was missing and brought Paige with him as they went out searching, but when they found him, it was too late. Peter was killed. Neil took matters in his own hands and adopted Paige himself. 2 years later, Paige is part of the family with 2 new sisters, Taylor and Brittany. The 3 of them are kidnapped as Neil does everything he can to track them down. It is revealed that the kidnappers are companions with the people that Neil killed while he tried to find Peter. Neil is able to locate and save his daughters, but as he fights the man that kidnapped them, they both tumble off the roof down the mountain. Neil survives his fall but is paralyzed from the legs down and is forced in a wheelchair. But regardless, they are all happy to be together safely once again. And that wraps up all the information that you'll need to know prior to reading. Enjoy the crossover! Bye-bye!